after 1,000 years of seclusion, opened her eyes. Her female apprentice became the #1 female devil. Even if she became a saint, but was stepped on by her apprentice within a day. Unexpectedly, the once docile female apprentice would covet his body. The 100-year-old agreement. Since it was the first day out of retreat, she would be raped and killed. On a dark and windy night, 2 people from Baihua sect are being chased. Seeing that they were already surrounded, they thought they would surely die this time, offending the female emperor and still want to run. Just surrender obediently. Unexpectedly, the junior sister was angry. She couldn't help shouting, "We just borrow the power of heaven and earth to worship a human. Just asking a question out of curiosity. We were chased like this. Your Wuji sect is so reckless with human life. You are clearly a demonic cult." But the woman in black not only showed no sympathy, but instead asked, "Do you know? You were talking about the Empress Master." Wei Yan, the 2 from the 100 Flower sect were also stunned. Because the legendary Supreme Devil, he is not only the female emperor's master, the Supreme Bone Emperor in the south, but also the King of Killers in the City of Death, have all received his teachings. You privately discussed the Supreme Demon Lord. You have committed a heinous crime. Before the words were finished, the woman drew her sword and attacked the 2. She was determined to kill them. But at this moment, there was a loud noise in the sky. A bolt of lightning directly fell, coincidentally, which hit the huge rock in the mountain, preventing the tragedy from happening. Just as everyone was in a daze, wondering if it was the earth dragon turning over, the vision in the sky suddenly attracted everyone's attention. At this time, the clouds in the sky gathered, and lightning flashed, forming a sharp vortex. Suddenly, a figure with terrifying coercion appeared on the top of the mountain. The person was the head of Xiuxianjie sect, the Shen. At this time, although his cultivation level had not yet broken through to God, but his body exudes endless power, has become a saint. At this time, he could be resurrected with blood. His body is immortal. As he condensed his sword finger around, the spiritual energy instantly began to churn. And the people who had just recovered below were once again beaten to the ground. The Shen, who was only experimenting with his new power, completely oblivious to the situation below. In the blink of an eye, both the Wuji sect and Baihua sect were all accidentally injured by the Shen. The Wuji sect's people were even more targeted, and more than half of them were killed. Damn, there are experts protecting them. He must go back and report to the sect leader. The Shen looked at the mountain he split in half. He was very satisfied. But at this moment, he just noticed figures flickering on the mountain. When the smoke cleared, he found 2 seriously injured people from Baihua sect. The Shen, realizing that he might have caused trouble, he also became nervous instantly. At this time, the anxious figure of the Shen was also discovered by the 2 sisters. When she gently landed, she accidentally stepped on another crack. Fortunately, the 2 sisters relied on their excellent meat and egg talent. They successfully unloaded the force. Based on the description of the 2 sisters, the Shen also felt sympathy for them. Killing people casually just because of words is too much. It's too much. If my apprentice Luan Yan were here, he would not allow this to happen. The little junior sister also agreed. You are a good person. Your apprentice must be a good person. The senior sister, who was stunned, looked at the Shen. She suddenly felt a chill down her spine. Until the Shen left again, he slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the gradually receding figure of the Shen, the more scared the senior sister became, while the little junior sister looked at the Shen. Leaving gracefully, the senior sister couldn't help shaking all over. I want to forget the female emperor who chased us. Her name is Long Yan. She is a cute and silly loli. But when she saw me, she immediately turned into a lustful girl. In order to attract my attention at the first time, she directly used the charm technique. Because more than 100 years ago, I said to make her happy. I said I wanted to be with her forever. She waited for me for 100 years. It turns out that 100 years ago, Ye Shen paid the price of losing all his power to repel the enemy. But he himself had to retreat for 100 years. Although the little loli was reluctant to leave, to prevent the enemy from retaliating, she had to disappear for a while. She immediately ordered the Xiuxianjie sect to calm down and hone themselves during his retreat. The sect must be revived. Now, in the blink of an eye, 100 years have passed. He came to Xiuxianjie sect again. He was surprised to find that in just 100 years, the spiritual vein of the sect's spiritual mountain has been restored. But when he really walked into the crowd, people saw him as a snake demon. The Shen only cared about enjoying the prosperity of the sect's outer affairs, and didn't notice the strange atmosphere around him. But looking at the wooden man in his hand, he always felt a little familiar. He was about to ask the boss. The prototype of this wooden man was... But the boss, seeing his outfit, he immediately closed his stall and closed the door. Until he looked up, he saw a statue dressed exactly like him. He felt that things seemed to be beyond his control. The thief deliberately dressed like the idol, robbed shops, and swaggered around. Before the Shen could explain, a group of masked women were about to arrest him. At this time, the Shen still didn't understand why he couldn't wear his own clothes. He also wanted to ask what was going on with the big statue. However, seeing that the Shen was so disrespectful, they stopped talking nonsense. They instantly attacked. Instantly, the chains and roots entangled, forming a Baman golden lock formation. In a daze, the Shen was tied up tightly by several people. He had no choice but to use force. With the formation, obviously, the people on the opposite side didn't expect the golden lock formation would be broken instantly. But when they nodded at each other, they seemed to have thought of some key information. They started tearing off their clothes, revealing their naked bodies. The Shen didn't expect the other party would use seduction. Immediately turned away. Unfortunately, the other party just reversed and put their clothes back on. Then, these ruthless killers turned into etiquette ladies. Are you the founder of the Golden Lock Array, Lord Yagami? Your Majesty has been waiting for you for a long time. In this way, the Shen was taken to the star-watching tower in a daze. In the hall, but behind the curtain, someone asked if you broke the Golden Lock formation. He thought there would be a big fight. The Shen didn't think much. He directly introduced himself. Before he finished speaking, a figure suddenly rushed out from behind the curtain. Centuries, I finally look forward to seeing you. Master, I miss you so much. Seeing Luan Yan, who had already pounced on him, he suddenly remembered that the little girl who only cried. But feeling this mature body, the Shen could only ask her to let go, but he was directly rejected by the crazy Luan Yan. I've been waiting for you to come out of retreat. Even if we die next, we will be together. She is a cute and silly loli. But behind the scenes, she turns into a lustful girl when seeing me. In order to attract my attention at the first time, she directly used seduction. After the incident was exposed, not only was she not afraid, but even wanted to take the initiative to show up. Seeing his apprentice who had waited for him for 100 years, the Shen couldn't bear to interrupt. Unexpectedly, his indulgent attitude directly made Luan Yan push her luck. The next second, she ignored the Shen's objection and have sex with him. The Shen didn't expect that he had really learned the 9 turn. I have followed your teachings. I've made great progress, and the magic has been mastered. After today, you and I can live and die together. Classmate. However, before he finished speaking, he took out a dagger from his thigh. As his tongue licked the blade, an eerie charm radiated out. Master, you must give me a small guarantee. As long as you cut off these legs, you can't go anywhere. Without hesitation, and immediately slashed down. Fortunately, the Shen had become a saint at this time. Ordinary blades couldn't break his defense. But Luan Yan didn't believe in evil and wanted to cut again. So he had to remind her that he was in retreat. How could I not improve? And then stopped talking nonsense. After forcibly breaking free, he immediately launched a counterattack. Even after 100 years, he was still his master. He just wanted to show off, but found that Luan Yan didn't resist at all. His already few clothes were directly shattered by the Shen. Seeing this, the Shen, who hadn't released his power for 100 years, couldn't help but feel furious. There was no way. He could only peek and ask him to change clothes quickly. Unexpectedly, this move directly made him misunderstand. The Shen only has to talk, saying that after 100 years, but didn't mention the agreement between them. The Shen, who had forgotten some things, began to recall. Many years ago, Luan Yaner was just a crying little girl. She accidentally scratched her skin while practicing. She worried that she would never get married. To make her happy, the Shen had to promise to be together forever. He never expected that her casual and unintentional words would be remembered for a century. Gradually, the little girl who loved to cry completely overlaps with Luanyan at this time. After a hug full of guilt, she said, "Sorry. Master is late." Seeing that the Shen had recalled everything, Luanyan was also moved inexplicably. He had maintained the sect alone for 100 years. He finally waited for his support. Changing the sect name, was it to avoid the pursuit of the remnants? But Luanyan didn't care at all. Asked if the promise still holds. He did say that. To be with the entire sect forever. While lamenting the passage of time, while agreeing, Yener would not break her promise. But Luanyan didn't expect that. The Shen actually agreed to be with her forever. In his opinion, this was a marriage contract. Before the Shen could ask more, Luanyan has already volunteered to choose a lucky day. The Shen was about to say that the gathering of the sects really needs a good time. But at this moment, someone reported that Tianshu was awake, and major sects have gone to the heavenly book city. Wen Yan and the Shen vaguely remembered he had written a book himself before. This book. Could it be the one he forgot to take away before retreating? The Book of Heaven belongs to our sect. Now that the Shen is back, the Book of Heaven will naturally respond. Seeing this, Yechen hurriedly interrupted. The content of the Book of Heaven must not be shown easily. Thinking of the absurd content he recorded in it, he felt a chill